Okay, so I need to say something that might make some people uncomfortable, especially women. All this content about quote unquote decentering men and that men are not the priority, like the red flags to look for when dating men, and why I choose to never date again. And I gave up on the dating scene. Basically, the main idea is to decenter men. And I want you to think who that content is about. It's about men. Every single video is still about men. So the content that is supposed to free you from thinking about men just gave you a brand new idea to think about men all day. And honestly, I think it's just red pill content, but for women. So, like, different side and the same trap. But don't get me wrong, those type of videos are actually helpful, especially for the young and gullible. And they just enter the dating scene. But it's overwhelming and it is producing female incels. And you know how the incel culture works. You know that. A guy has had a bad experience with dating a woman, then he goes online, then he finds a community that confirms that every woman is the problem. And he gets angrier, less available, and less likely to connect with anyone. Now, look at that content and what it is doing to some women. Bad experience with men, go online, find a community that confirms that men are evil and men are shit. So they get angrier and more guarded and less likely to trust anyone. So it's different gender, but it is the same spiral. But I'd like to think of it as like the red pill pipeline for men and the center men pipeline for women are producing the same result. It's producing the thinking that the other side is irredeemable, and that is a trap. It is bitterness dressed up as empowerment. But at the end of the day, it's still bitterness. Being real with you right now, I myself stepped back from the dating scene because I caught myself looking at every man through the lens of my worst experiences dating them. And that scared me because that's not fair to anyone, including me. So I got quiet, I stopped, and I didn't make it a whole personality. But the whole time that I was supposed to be quote unquote healing, I was watching those type of contents like the warning signs, the red flags, men are this, men are that. And I thought I was processing. I wasn't processing, I was building a case. Because when pain becomes a collection of evidence, it stops being a wound, it becomes a worldview. And once it's a worldview, everything you see confirms it. And that's not healing, that's just a more organized version of being stuck. Here's something simple about how our brain works. It doesn't actually care if you're thinking about something because you want it or you're trying to avoid it. It's still the same thing. You're thinking about it and it's taking up what? Mental space. So that's why people who are spending months on searching how to get over an ex isn't actually moving on. They are stuck because they are obsessing about how to move on and not actually moving on. So, like, it's the same analogy of watching 4 hours of content about men are not the shit, men are not the prize, decentering men. It's still 4 hours of your day spent on whom? Men. So the framing changed, but the focus didn't. And you can't actually think your way out of something if you won't stop thinking about it. And you know this, the algorithm is not your friend here. It's showing you this type of content because you keep watching it. And your pain is profitable to them. Like they don't really care about your healing and your well being. The women I know that are genuinely unbothered are not performing it, they're actually living it. They're not loudly decentering anything. They just have a life. Something real exists, whether a man is in it or not, whether they get chosen or not. They didn't decenter men by focusing on not centering men. They just found something worth centering instead. Because freedom is not the absence of attachment, it's having something you care about more. And I think that's the actual move here, not an ideology, not an aesthetic, not a niche. But ask yourself, like, who are you? Who are you building? Who are your people? And what makes you feel like yourself when no one is watching? And when you have honest answers to these questions, the noise starts to fade. Because not because you force it out, but because something real took up that space. And one more thing, healing is actually not a destination. Like at some point, you have to go back to the real world and test it. Because staying in protection mode forever is not healing. In my head right now, I still believe that good people exist. I still believe that real love and real friendship and real connection is still possible. I'm not saying this because I'm cynical. I'm saying this because I think a lot of women right now are genuinely hurting, and the content is making it worse. And they're calling it healing. The gender war is loud and it's everywhere. And I think the most radical thing we can do right now is to not participate in it, not for men's sake, but for yours. You won't find yourself by deciding what you're against. You find yourself by building something real enough that it stops mattering. You have to build that, you have to protect that, and you have to stay open because closing completely means that the algorithm won and you're too interesting for that.